that may try to divide us. You know, sometimes you can be divided at national level, or you can be divided at international level, at regional level, but it's up to us to identify what are the causes and what are the causes of these divisions. And what we need to do is also to be frank with each other and tell each other. Take the Gambian example. ECOWAS these presidents just told you simply have to go. But the problem is that in some of the African countries, people are not frank. They are not bold in pronouncing the things that they see. You see, for example, sometimes we also have cases of shameful endorsements of elections. You know, there's widespread abnormalities in elections where somebody endorses the election. Individual countries take it upon themselves. For example, Kenya, is it Kenya? Which other country? Is it Malawi? I can't remember the country which went back to elections. And then they said, no, we are going back to elections. And this endorsement, we are not taking it. And then they had to have another election. I think it's 2 countries now in Africa. They had to redo the elections despite the endorsement by some other quarters to say this has been a free and fair election. And it's so shameful when it is being pronounced by other people whom you think could otherwise be bringing total unity into the continent. So it's our sincere hope that we are going to be bold and strong enough and also to call a spade a spade. But that becomes problematic when people now try to do partisan politics and so on at the expense of everybody else, either in the nation or in the continent. Thank you very much. I can see Mr. Diallo is posting to us a lot of resource materials. And what we can do before we finish, you can copy those links and paste them on some Word document of yours for later referral. So I will also copy them and later on share with people. This is good. I think I've also seen Enke, Engineer Enke, posting some other links. We need these links to share with everybody. Thank you. Pamela, over to you.
Okay, this is from Richard Umar again, and it says, what deliberate efforts are being taken by UNESCO and AAU, say through the AAU, to promote staff and students' academic exchange programs?
Yes, as the Association of African Universities, when we have the opportunities, we do it. But we also need internal funding, maybe from our own governments, because we can't always rely on donor funding. We should also try to make sure, and I think as the AAU, that is one thing we are now doing, trying to approach our own African governments and encouraging them to also sponsor research, like Engineer Enke indicated there. Yes, we need to continue lobbying our governments so that they can sponsor cultural exchange programs. They can sponsor intra-regional and intra-continental and intra-continental research to occur, and that is something which is very, very important. I also want to hand over to Mr. Diallo, very, very quickly, Mr. Diallo, in a minute or two, to respond to this question which Pamela has asked. What is UNESCO doing?
Thank you, Violet, thank you. And wish to congratulate really all panelists. I have not been able to follow all of them, but the one I follow, it's very extraordinary, wonderful. We have the sense of being on the continent and having all these countries and see the diversity, the wealthies, and we can really assess and measure the potential and the wealthies that we have through this extraordinary diversity. So if I understand the question, what UNESCO is doing to promote the intra exchanges, well, I would say that, well, you responded. So we can mobilize fundings from partners, donors, also well to sponsor such fellowship, some grants also, and research grants, so that students or researchers be able to exchange between countries. So this is an exercise which can be done actually, and it can also be done, I mean, with African countries. Some African, because at UNESCO, for example, some countries, some donor countries give to UNESCO some funds, so that some African countries and other countries, students or researchers can apply for grants in Africa. So it's something which can be also developed with some African countries, which can be donors also for such exchange. I wanted also to remind that there is also this the Addis Abeba framework of this is the convention actually for the recognition of the diplomas, the academic between countries, so that it helps, it enables this free movements of students, research. Also, it's really very important. It's an important convention which was developed and upgraded actually in 2014. That's how it holds the name of Addis Abeba, the Addis Abeba Convention. But we can also mention there is a global convention on the recognition of higher education qualification, which was approved by UNESCO General Conference 2 years ago. All that really to free enable the movement. And we hope also that through the African, the free trade area also, of course, it's about goods and services, but on the human side also, we hope that this framework also will help and facilitate the movements in the knowledge platform, and also on the culture for the free movements and share of products and services between countries. I read the opportunity. I shared in the chat box some links on the general history of Africa programs. As I said during my presentation, it's really a big program that all universities, all intellectuals should really capture and see how we can help the governments to put them into their curriculum. You discuss a lot about the curriculums, and the substance is there. It's the history which has been written by Africans. So we have the story, it's there. So we just have to vulgarize it. I also share with you the Convention on the Cultural Intangible Heritage. It is very important. We know about tangible heritage, the museums, the castles, etc. But we have this convention also for the intangible heritage, and we know how much Africa has. A lot of the reservoir is very, very important on intangible heritage. It is about our cuisine, our gastronomy. It is about our rights. It is about our music. It is so, and it is still African countries have not yet used it enough. In each country's communities are invited really to apply, to say, well, I have these rights, this language, this tradition, this music. I want to preserve it for my community. So the convention provides a set of tools, grants to help communities to digitize, to make research, and to get it listed, to be recognized at the global level as a shared intangible heritage. So I wanted to avail the opportunity to share it with you, and we are really available. And I hope that with AAU, it would be an opportunity also to pursue this conversation and cooperation with you. Thank you again.
Yes, that has been very rich, Mr. Diallo. I'm very grateful, particularly to also acknowledge what you have put there. But let me take a bit of what you have raised regarding the Addis recognition of qualifications. Yes, it started as the Arusha Convention of 1981. It was never enacted. It moved on to the Addis Convention of 2014, which resulted in the Pan-African Quality Assurance framework for higher education in Africa and for education in general. So this is the reason why also I had to move, because we made, from that brainchild of the African Union, we got some funding from European Union Commission, and we have done harmonization of African higher education, quality assurance and accreditation phase 1, and we are now in phase 2. So in phase 1, we developed the African standards and guidelines for quality assurance, which would just enable that staff and student mobility. And then we also managed to popularize the African quality rating mechanism for institutional evaluation. If all institutions could use that to evaluate themselves, it brings us together, because it also brings the standards together, because everybody is following the same standards. This would be a conversation for another day. Dr. Dako, just 1 minute and we close. 1 minute only. Over to you. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. I was asked a question, but it's raining here, so my internet went off, about internal mobility among scholars. You realize that most of us here will go on sabbatical to the European countries, to American countries. And I think there is a pull factor there. So we should look at that and then make it look more internally. Probably me, I want to go to Tanzania for my sabbatical. But I don't know how I'm going to move. I want to go to an African country, not an European country. So we should encourage that amongst ourselves, and it's going to be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. But I know the problem is also monetary. You know, when you are on sabbatical leave, you are supposed to be earning a salary from your institution, as well as where you are going to do sabbatical. And so maybe of late, some of the African universities would say this time around, we can't pay you when you are on sabbatical. And so once they grab an opportunity overseas, they go. And so some of the things, we are our own creators of those disadvantaged positions. And so our governments also need to come on board and be active in addressing some of these issues. The policies may be there, but their implementation is key. If we say sabbatical, a person needs to be paid, let it be. But now the song is, we don't have money, we don't have money. And now at a point when there's money or when there's no money, nobody knows. You just hear this rhetoric. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring this to an end on behalf of the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities. Allow me to thank all the panelists to begin with, and our guest speaker, as well as participants. Mr. Diallo, thank you for being accepting to be our guest speaker from UNESCO. And we know UNESCO is well known for these heritage sites, and it has been an honor to be with you here. Dr. Kwabena Adako Akomwa from Ghana, Dr. Bright Lumo Mensah from Ghana, Professor Valentine Angalim from Cameroon, Dr. Angela Chekube Ekonweke from Nigeria, Dr. Daniel Abreko, Dr. Amira Hamdi, Egypt, Dr. Daniel Abreko is from Ghana, Engineer Enki Weishet is German but based in Uganda, Dr. Baliu Demisu Kebede is from Ethiopia. And you know, by all means, we have tried to be continental as much as possible. Many countries were represented. And at the same time, our participants too were coming from more than 20 African countries. And we are very proud of you all, even those who have left. So, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the presentations, please, we are now even streaming on AAU TV, and you can follow us on YouTube, you can follow us on Twitter, you can also follow us on Facebook, and we are there. So that's how much we are trying by all means to make sure that the Association of African Universities visibility is taken that far. We are more than 50 years old, and we came to be established in 1967. We are having our general conference 5 to 8 July 2021. You are all invited, and you can check on our website www.aau.org, www.aau.org, or you can check on www.aau/events.org. You can check and find out what is happening also from our blog, blog.aau.org, blog.aau.org. You can write to us on info@aau.org, info@aau.org. Thank you very much for your time. Till we meet again for other programs, we are very grateful and we thank you for the day. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Recording stopped.